Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Today I have an inspiring story that reveals the hidden power within us all.
In a quiet hermitage on the outskirts of a town, a monk lived peacefully with his disciples. Every evening, the monk and his disciples would gather together to pray. During these prayers, the monk would stand silently, his eyes closed and his hands folded, but his lips never moved. One of the monk's disciples observed this with growing curiosity. He noticed that while everyone else prayed aloud, the monk remained completely silent, showing no sign of speaking, not even internally. This puzzled the disciple, and he wondered why the monk didn't seem to be asking for anything in his prayers. One evening, after the prayers had concluded, the disciple could no longer contain his curiosity. He approached the monk and asked, "Master, when we pray, we speak our desires to God. Even when we pray silently, there's still a slight movement of our lips or an expression on our faces. But when I watch you pray, your lips don't move at all. Don't you ask God for anything? Why is that?" The monk smiled gently and said, "My son, let me share an experience from my life with you. Once, I was visiting the capital city and happened to pass by the royal palace. I saw the king standing at the entrance, and at that moment, a beggar approached him. The beggar was frail and weary, his clothes tattered, and his body trembling with hunger. Yet, despite his condition, there was a certain light in his eyes. The king asked him, "What do you want?" The beggar replied, "Your Majesty, if you cannot see what I need by simply looking at me, then there is no need for me to say any more. My very presence before you is my plea." The beggar then fell silent. The king, realizing his mistake, immediately ordered his ministers to provide the beggar with food, new clothes, a house to live in, and a job to sustain himself. After sharing this story, the monk looked into his disciple's eyes and said, "My son, think about it. If the beggar had merely asked for food, he would have received only that. But by leaving his request unspoken, he allowed the king to give according to his own wisdom and generosity. The king provided him not only with food but also with clothing, shelter, and a livelihood. From that day forward, I stopped asking God for anything specific. God already knows all our needs, desires, and what is best for us. If we limit our prayers to what we think we need, we may miss out on the greater gifts that God wishes to bestow. Instead, I have learned to surrender myself completely to God in silence, trusting that He will provide what is best for me." The monk continued, "Often, when we pray, we try to express our desires to God in words, thinking that we must clearly articulate what we want. But in truth, God is all-knowing. He is aware of our past, present, and future, and understands our needs better than we do. By asking for specific things, we may only limit what we receive. When we pray, the most important thing is to surrender ourselves fully to God with a pure heart and become silent. When we do this, God will give according to His wisdom, and what He provides will be far greater than anything we could imagine. The words spoken during prayer are not as important as the connection between our minds and God. The deeper this connection, the more powerful the prayer will be. So, when you pray, don't focus on speaking your desires. Instead, immerse yourself in the love of the divine and become one with Him. In that union, your prayers will be truly answered. These are words of wisdom and inspiration. Thanks for watching, and always keep smiling.